Hi, how are you?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm well. Pleasure to talk to you. And I'm just so excited that this is all happening, that there is an actual huge reason to be talking to you these days.
Yes, there is.
Nice to
A
have
lot
you here.
going on.
Yeah. First off, I figure like where we should probably start off. L7 is back together. It's not a brand new thing. It's now been a few years happening and in the making, with the tour starting first. But I'd kind of be curious, like when did you really start considering firing this back up?
I think it was, I had been doing the Facebook page for a couple of years just to sort of archive photos of us. And I saw a huge outpouring of fans, and not just older ones who had seen us before, but fans who had never seen us, like younger people. And I just thought, and every other day they'd be like, reunion, and it's not anything we ever sort of planned on doing. But when we discussed the idea, we were all in. So we figured better do it now, because we're not going to be able to do it probably in 5 years or something.
And I mean, obviously, it had been happening a lot. A lot of the bands from your era had been reuniting. Did that play any part into it? Were you able to look at them and go, well, this is working. It's working for these folks, so why not?
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of bands reuniting. But I'm really glad that I did get to see the Sex Pistols and I got to see the Stooges. So, as a fan, I dig it. As a band member, I was reluctant, because you don't know if you can be as good as you were or as exciting. But I think we're playing really well. So fans seem to like it.
I say so. I mean, this first single,
yeah,
it's
you
huge.
dig it? The song is kind of about like the guys who like Trump's Secret Service people, or people in the military, or people who kind of have to pay attention to his communications, to his tweet. And if you're one of those agents, you've got to read every tweet. And is Miss Universe getting fat, or are we under attack? And when is it like a legit alert? You know what I mean? So it's kind of about the people who must follow him on Twitter because that's their job. And it's this sort of idea of maybe a boy crying wolf, and when's it going to be legit? And then eventually an angry mob does storm the gates of Mar-a-Lago. So that's what it's about. It's not about us trashing Mar-a-Lago. It's about an angry mob doing it.
I feel like we could do this. You and I could do this interview on any day, any different day than even today, and I could come up with different talking points to go along with everything you just said. But with today, first off, he's just said something about the calm before the storm, and nobody, and it's what you're talking about. Like, how's a Secret Service member supposed to take that? No one even knows what that threat means.
What does that mean?
Like,
how are we supposed to be prepared? It's like, it's crazy talk. And we didn't, the song is a fun, absurd track. Mm-hmm. We're not trying to make a very heavy statement here. It's just sort of in response to the insanity, So we didn't get heavy with it. We just went kind of for the scenario of in my room flying the drone,
Right. It's almost
little
like
blue birds blowing up my phone. It's like, here comes the tweets. So that's where we're at.
But I don't know. I do a lot of interviews, and most of the conversations I'm having these days, of course, somehow veer towards this. Politics and music are old bedfellows. It's been happening for a long time. And I'd read that you guys kind of went into this with sort of the absurdity in mind, but at the same time, like, even knowing that, I wanted to throw my fist in the air for you guys. It's sort of. Because I feel like we're all, you and I at least, are all fighting on the same side, and even the absurd stuff still ends up saying so much. As we look back at 20 years of The Daily Show, the absurd stuff almost says it all these days.
Yeah. And, we didn't, our documentary was screened 4 days after the election in New York City. And it was the first screening of the doc. And people were just so devastated. And we really didn't set out to write a song about the president, but we felt it would be negligent if we didn't. There were so many of our fans, like, literally grabbing onto our arms, save us, so this is the way we wanted to do it, kind of get it out of the way, and then we'll see what else is written down the line. But this was sort of our, coming out blazing with that.
I mean, so you guys, you reunited in 2014, and now here's this song. But I will say the necessity of L7 at this moment of time, it is pretty well timed, I would say, because when you look back at your history, and of course, there is a big notable point because of Rock for Choice that you helped start. And again, I can even look at the news today and say, and here he's pushing through something that makes it harder for women to get birth control through the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah, I mean, again, we did discuss, look, is this the first song we want to come out with? It's topical. That's not a thing. We usually do a topical material that can be dated, but we were so praying that the hurricane did not hit Mar-a-Lago, and we were praying that he did not get impeached before we could get this track out. We felt so urgent, God, if he gets impeached, this whole track is screwed, we'll have nothing, so we felt an urgency to get this out. And we also felt that even though it is topical, I think we're one of the few bands who could actually sort of pull this off, because we've always had a bit of humor to our political sentiments. We had a song Wargasm with the line, tie a yellow ribbon around the amputee. So, there's always, even though that is not funny, there is kind of a sardonic nature to our political or social commentary.
I mean, it's one of the reasons why I've always appreciated you all for that
thank
stuff.
you.
Yeah. The great, that's always saw the punk side of you guys. And you sort of came from an art punk scene and got lumped in with, a generic term like grunge, but it's that humor and however, I don't know, scene that fit into whatever you want to put the label on, which means much less these days than it used to, and I think that's really fun. But
I think that the art punk scene also had an appreciation of the absurd, and which I think we've always had as well. So it kind of fits in there. What we've always been very appreciative of is that we cross into the metal scene, we cross into the punk scene, the art scene. So it's pretty cool. In 1 week, we got an offer for a festival in Mexico City called Heaven and Hell, and it's a metal festival. And in this week, we got an offer to play John Waters' birthday party. So we're right there.
Yeah.
We've got the best of both worlds right there. So we are filled with gratitude.
But I did want to bring up the documentary. Pretend That We're Dead, which I haven't been able to see yet. I cannot wait to see this. But when you guys are looking back on that, is it really about the band? Because, and maybe it is, but I was sort of wondering, because the idea of L7 as a band has been one thing to me as a fan, but it's also been so much more. And it's because of what the things that you were just saying, because you fit into so many different scenes, because there was sort of a larger story to tell, with the activism and things like that. So I'd kind of be curious, does the documentary hit on all of that?
It does. The documentary hits on all of that, and it's supported by the home movie footage that we've had all these years. So yes, it does tell our story, but it's also a really cool time capsule of that era, because videotape was cheap. Once we bought the camera, the videotape was cheap, so we could film a lot. It was before people had cell phones, and you still had to pull over at a truck stop if you needed to make an emergency call, or hitch a ride to a truck stop if your van broke down. So we were very engaged with each other. Even if we were mad at each other or in a big fight or something, we had to engage. We couldn't check out. So it was an interesting time, and it was because we could capture that on film. So it's a cool little, chunk of that era.
When you're looking back at that and digging through all of that, and now here you are reunited and looking forward, I mean, does that past weigh on you at all? Do you have to consider that as you move forward?
I don't think so. I think maybe the past weighed on it a little bit more in our absence. But now the fans have been so great. The media seems like they've strangely matured in a way. They're not as obsessed on our gender that they used to be. Mm-hmm. And we're kind of considered more of a sort of a legacy band, which is amazing, as opposed to an all-female band, because the gender tag was something that it was tough to shake. It was either we were a grunge band or an all-female band, and now we're just sort of a American rock band or rock band. So that's kind of cool.
So this is one single. And I hear there is another single on the way. I of course have to ask the question: have you guys been talking about what happens after that if there's an album?
Well, we're trying not to put too much pressure on us. Like even when we reunited in 2015, I approached everybody and said, let's just play the old stuff. Let's not worry about doing any writing. Let's just have fun and play the hits, But now that we've been doing that, it's sort of like, well, all of a sudden we find ourselves jamming at sound check or at rehearsal and just kind of goofing off and doing some writing. So we're going to release another single, and then we'll see where it goes. But I don't want to put the pressure on us because I think right now we're living in a real cool time capsule of like being able to release a track whenever the hell you want to, and you don't have to have that 4-month build-up for print press like you used to have to back in the day. You'd record something and have to wait 4 months. So, for Rolling Stone to catch up with their issue,
Right.
So now it's just much more immediate, and so that's really exciting. So we may drop a few more singles. I don't know, without even talking about doing an album yet or something. I'm not sure.
I'm just happy to have new music from you guys. I'm happy that you're doing anything and everything right now. So I'll take it how I can
Right
get
on.
it, at least. Is there anything you can tell us about the new single, or do we gotta wait and be surprised?
You got to wait and be surprised. But I think you'll dig it, and I think you'll dig the title. But I can't tell you what that is.
All
but
right.
It's not going to be Dispatch from Mar-a-Lago. This will be our only track about Mar-a-Lago.
All right. Donita, it was really great talking to you. Thanks again for doing everything that you've done.
Thanks, Kyle. Thanks for the time, and we'll stay in touch.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, man.
All right. Take care.
Okay, take care.
Bye.
Bye.